Our first guest tonight is an Emmy Award-winning actor, writer, and director who you know from his work on Saturday Night Live, Documentary Now, and HBO's Barry. Please welcome back to the show our very good friend, Bill Hader. Hi, buddy.
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Good. You know, I think of you every day. Viewers of our show will know. I have, of course, my little Stefan nesting doll. Did you know that you've been joined by Andy Samberg as a mummy whose doink fell off?
My doink fell off?
Yeah, Samberg played a mummy whose doink fell off, and at the end of it, I told him that went great, and he said, "Oh, do I get to be on the desk then?"
He's always gunning for my spot, man.
Yeah, he wants your spot. I think that you probably get asked this all the time. I know I do. How do you think Stefan would be doing during a pandemic? It strikes me that a lot of what he does would probably be shut down right now.
I don't know if he would notice. He's going to go for a while and not really notice, and then...
That's true. And I guess this is like a natural mask, right?
Yeah, it was a mask, yes. It was kind of a mask, and I think he was probably, patient zero on some level, and he's probably had it a couple of times, and now he's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like he probably went to a club at some point that was called Wet Market.
Yeah.
I do feel like a lot of the clubs that he went to in New York City might not be following like de Blasio's rules. Like it feels like they were already pretty underground.
They were all pretty underground, if they in fact exist.
Right. Are you saying this whole time Stefan might have been projecting a version of himself that wasn't entirely true?
That was the thing I always laughed about, because everybody, when I would laugh doing that, was so much of it was that just how bad at his job he is, that he's lying. And I always felt that you were very, you knew he was lying, but you were being very patient with him.
Well, I remember Neil Brennan, our friend Neil Brennan, pointing out that he liked to think of the producer backstage with Stefan right before he went on Weekend Update and be like, okay, and just a reminder, Stefan, we really want St. Patrick's Day tips, if you could just keep it themed to that. And Stefan just like promising this would be the time that he would actually...
Not listening to him at all. He thinks he's like the giant frog with the headphone backstage told me.
Did you, I know you had to put a pause on season 3 of Barry, which I'm heartbroken by because I'm so excited to see it. Where are you in production now?
We were right when the lockdown happened in March, we were a week away from shooting. So the last time I was in a room with a lot of people was the table read for episodes 1 and 2 of season 3, and we were ready to go. And then it all got shut down. So we actually we have season 3 is completely written, ready to go. And then during this time, we actually went and wrote season 4. So we have both of those kind of done. So we're just waiting until we can start shooting again.
That's really exciting. I mean, there was such a wonderful cliffhanger at the end of season 2, but did you worry that you had, to some degree, written yourself into a corner that you had to find a way out of?
That's kind of what we do at the end of every season. At the end of season 1, we had written ourselves this kind of cliffhanger, and then you do it again. And then, Alec Berg and I, who I created the show with, we were just talking about this last night, where it's a bit like having a reoccurring character on Saturday Night Live. Like we were just talking about Stefan. You kind of do the first time you go out, it's like the first season where you're like, oh, that was fun. It seems like they liked it, And then the second time you have a little pressure, and then you get a recognition. And then by the third time you're doing it, the more I did Stefan, the more we did Californians or whatever, you always, it got just more tense, more pressure on you to do new moves or whatever. And on Barry, I can't just rely on John Mulaney to make me laugh. So my lines, So yeah, it is very, very hard. And we ended on a cliffhanger last year, and first day back in the writer's room, it was everyone going, so what happens? And we were like, I have no idea. Really, really screwed ourselves here. And we're still saying it. We're still trying to figure it out.
I can't wait. Obviously, I'm very eager for you guys to get back to work on that. And I have more to talk to you about. We'll be right back with more Bill Hader.